Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Humza Yousaf seems to think that the taxpayers of Scotland are a bottomless well of wealth that he can plunder whenever he wants, when he wants to fulfil his next vanity project. He's already lost billions left, right and centre. There's 1.6 billion of COVID relief has gone. There's all the investigations into party finances, all these things. There's £1 billion black hole in next year's budget. And they're having to put up taxes left, right and centre to try and fill that, whilst, of course, cutting services. But on top of all these things going on, Humza Yousaf has this really bright idea. He is going to look fantastic. He is going to have his moment in the sun. And you are going to pay for it, he decided. Because he wants to host the Commonwealth Games. Australia pulled out and said they can't afford to do it. And they are way bigger, let me tell you, than Scotland. And Humza Yousaf said, no, we'll do it. I will look magnificent. I will be on the world stage. I will be the last king of Scotland as we host these games. And athletes from all over the world can come. And it's the only time when Scotland can compete in games under a Scottish flag. What a sad, inadequate man he is. He must have an absolute micro-penis. Firstly, you can't afford it, Humza. You can't afford to balance your own budget. Where are you going to find the billions needed to host these games? Secondly, have you got the infrastructure? Have you got the hotels already? Have you got the transport links sorted? Have you got an appointment? Have you appointed all the staff? It takes years to put on an event like this. You can't just step in at the last moment and go, yeah, we'll do it. Sure, you've got stadiums, I grant you. But what about everything else? No. Bad idea. You're trying to step in. You're trying to over-fulfill your ambitions. You know, your desire is longer than your reach. Let's put it that way. Anyway, we'll take a look at this and see why he is so desperate to get the Commonwealth Games. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf offers Scotland for Commonwealth Games after Victoria pulls out. The Multi-Sports Games has been held in Scotland 3 times, with Glasgow welcoming athletes in 2014. There's a picture of Glasgow in 2014. Humza Yousaf has offered Scotland up as a host, or sacrificial lamb, to host the next Commonwealth Games after the Australian state of Victoria pulled out. Glasgow held the sports extravaganza in 2014, while Edinburgh has twice welcomed athletes from across the multi-state organisation. Now, there's nothing wrong with having the Commonwealth Games. It's a nice highlight, gives athletes something to test, to test themselves against, to push, part of their training regime, they can aim for it. It's nice to be there. You're competing on a world level. Not necessarily all the world, but significant part of the world, let's face it. One only has to look at the height of empire and all that. And that's fine. And okay, welcome then, let's have that. But it's a massive undertaking. And boy, do these things cost. The First Minister was keen to put Scotland forward as part of the solution. Of course it is, because it's a distraction. Like I said yesterday, you can announce these things because it's a distraction. While people are looking, oh, look, the shiny thing. Let's look at the shiny thing. What they're not looking at is all the mayhem behind them. He said the country stood ready to be part of a multi-city, multi-country solution in 3 years' time. Maybe. I'm going to be honest and say it's probably going to have to be Britain, isn't it? And it'll be sort of London, Manchester, and then maybe Edinburgh, perhaps. Who knows? Speaking to Radio Clyde, he said, I've seen the news just as you have in the last 24 hours. The Commonwealth Games is always a great occasion. It allows your Scottish athletes to participate under the Scottish banner, which I know means so much to our Scottish athletes. I know, but other games allow the British athletes to compete under the British banner. I will point out, though, that it does annoy Northern Irish competitors because, of course, at the Olympics, it's Team GB. And it should be pointed out that people in Northern Ireland, or the Isle of Wight, the Isle of Skye, they're not part of GB, are they? Great Britain is an island. It's the biggest island. So anyone who lives on any of the other islands isn't Team GB. They might be Team UK, but they're not Team GB. Anyway, he says, I've seen the news and some comments from athletes and others saying to explore this. We will explore whether Scotland can be part of something bigger. Do you know what? You can. You could be part of, say, the United Kingdom. Hey. Maybe part of a multi-city, multi-country hosting opportunity. Yay. Super. He says, I can't give a commitment because we have literally seen the news in the last 24 hours. Of course you can't give a commitment. You can't afford it. You just can't afford it. It's billions of pounds. You can't even balance your own budget. How the hell are you going to go and find the money to host this? It's ridiculous. He says, I can completely understand the excitement, and I share the excitement because I think about the phenomenal job Scotland did in hosting the 2014 Games. He says, but it does come at a cost. No shit, Sherlock. Billions. He says, people have asked if Scotland can be part of something bigger, like the UK. I think it's important we explore that and see what the art of the possible is. Well, it is certainly possible to get rid of you, and then that would certainly help Scotland. Victoria was due to host the 2026 edition of the Commonwealth Games, but State Premier Daniel Andrews said on Tuesday it could not afford to take on the risk. Of course it can't. He said, what's become clear is the cost of hosting these games is not the 2.6 billion Australian, 1.35 billion sterling, which was allocated. It is at least 6 billion Australian, or 3.12 billion sterling, or possibly 7 billion Australian, 3.64 billion pounds. So possibly over £3.5 billion pounds, and he wants to help host it. Put your money in your hat then. Go on, put your money in. Get your money out, Humza. Your money. Let's ask the taxpayers if they want to spend that. Or perhaps they'd rather, have schools, hospitals, transport, communications, social care, that kind of thing. Or is it important that the very elite athletes have somewhere nice to do a bit of running at the taxpayer expense? Do tell me, Humza, what's your view on this? He said there's been little enthusiasm for the Games in the bidding process, with none of the 72 countries making up the Commonwealth coming forward before Victoria offered to step in. It was only awarded the event last year, and it was said to have given just 8 hours' notice before pulling the plug, because they looked at it, they said they haven't got the money, it's too expensive, and it's just not there. So, hey. The 2014 edition in Glasgow was hailed as a big success at the time, but concerns have been raised since about the long-term impact and legacy. Edinburgh hosted in 70 and 86. I remember 86 games. They're actually quite good. When the games were much smaller. Yeah, they were quite good. It was done because Edinburgh was... Well, it was small games and Edinburgh could host it all. I remember the big fanfares on the telly. A Scottish Government spokesman said the 2014 Glasgow Commonwealth Games received international recognition as an outstanding fortnight of sporting and cultural events. The Scottish Government will, of course, explore if Scotland can support a multi-city, multi-partner hosting opportunity. However, the Commonwealth Games Federation will need time to consider the next steps, and it would be premature to comment further at this stage. They're running out of time. Every day that passes is another day lost. And so they've effectively got less than 3 years to sort all this out. And there's no way Scotland can afford it. Because even if they were to go multi-hosting and say, we've got here, here and here, and so... you could go, let's say Manchester, Glasgow, Cardiff, Belfast, and have all 4 home nations each getting parts of the games. And that's a possibility, but it's still hugely expensive. And of course, let's be honest, England would have to put up the ante. They'd have to chip most of that money in, but. If you're talking 3.5 billion, obviously England have to put like 2.5 in, but the other 3 would have to chip in, and they just don't have the cash. They don't have the cash, and I bet if you went to the people and said, "Look, would you like the games to come?" They'd probably say, "Yes, we'd like the games to come." Said, "Are you willing to pay for them?" And they might think, "No, I'm not." And that's the problem he has, because we're not in a rich position anymore. Times are hard. Food's expensive. Mortgages and rents need to be covered. We haven't got the money. We don't have the folding. And that's the problem. But he seems to think he has. Because for him, this is nothing about, the games are important. This is all about him. It's all about him being seen on the world stage. And he's willing to burn Scotland to do it. I'll stop there and I shall come up. He only wants it so he can look important, As I say, micro. No country can really afford it. The Olympics cost billions, and then they all want it tax-free and that. And why? Why should taxpayers be forced to fund all this stuff? Yeah. Oh, it's very important. Yeah. It's not important. It's not important. It's just so I can be a better runner. Oh, look at me. I'm so important because I can run. Think about this in your life. When have you ever been in a situation you go, oh, I'm in deep trouble. I need an athlete. No. If they want to run, let them run. Why should it cost billions for some people to run? We've got a stadium. There you go. Just have a little run. You're a little runny race. There you go. Doesn't matter. Now, of course, you argue, but sports people are paid a lot. Yeah, footballers are paid a lot, but they're not paying out of taxpayers' money. Why should the taxpayer be forced to do this? Because, you know, it's people choose to give money. People have decided that they want to give footballers a lot of money. They do that because you can choose not to go to a football match and pay the money over at the gate. You can choose not to buy a season ticket. You can choose not to pay excess amount of money to Sky Sports or whatever. Right? You can choose to do that. So the fact that footballers are earning a lot of money is because people are willing to pay them. Why should the taxpayer be forced to pay them simply for the vanity of a politician with a tiny penis? Makes no sense. Makes no sense whatever. These people want to run, let them run. But they ain't getting my money to run. Why should they? Why should I be forced to pay tax? Because I want to do a little bit of cycling. Or I want to swim in a pool. And I want to get paid lots of money to do it. Who cares? Who absolutely cares about it? Let them do it. No one. They go, it's all cultural importance. Every country. Nobody wants to host the Olympics anymore. It's so expensive. And that's what the problem is. Anyway, I shall stop there. Talking of sports. I won't stop there. Talking of sports. I've got one important thing to say. This will be highly divisive, I know, I'm sure. And I don't want to lose any viewers over this, so please put up with it. But I must say, up the Jags. 2-1. Great result. And if you're a Dundee viewer, do apologise. But, you know, you've got to pick a side. I'll leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're a Dundee United supporter, please don't unsubscribe. As for the rest of you, thank you very much. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And remember, tiny penis politicians want to spend your money so that they look good. Bye.